They told us it was a revolution. They told us it was golf, but louder. But if you look past the blaring music, the shorts, and the endless stream of Saudi oil money, you start to notice something uncomfortable about the LIV Golf Tour. It hasn't just become a rival league. For some of the biggest names in the history of the sport, it has become a very expensive, very exclusive retirement home. We are talking about players who were once titans, major champions, world number ones, and Ryder Cup legends, who are now quietly cashing six-figure checks to finish dead last in tournaments that half the world isn't even watching. The narrative was that they were growing the game. The reality? They might just be hiding from the fact that they can't play it anymore. From the billion-dollar gambler who can't break par, to the Yeti who should have stayed in his cave, these are the 10 stars who took the money and ran right off a competitive cliff. And there is nowhere else to start but with the ringleader himself, Phil Mickelson, the man who arguably built this entire league with his own two hands, and a lot of chaotic interviews. When Phil made the jump, he was the reigning PGA Championship winner. He was the oldest major winner in history. He had defied age. But in the last 2 years, something darker has settled over Lefty. It's no longer about his magical short game or his thumbs up to the crowd. It's about a man who looks exhausted. Reports of his gambling debts, rumored to be upwards of $100 million, painted a picture of a man who didn't join LIV for the fresh format. He joined because he needed the cash, desperately. And his game since the switch? It's been nothing short of a disaster. We aren't seeing the Phil who battles for Sundays. We're seeing a Phil who consistently finishes in the bottom tier of a 54-man field. In 2024 and 2025, Phil Mickelson wasn't a competitor, he was a mascot. He's the CEO of a team, the High Flyers, that rarely flies high. Watching him chop it around for 75s and 76s while trying to maintain that famous smile is almost tragic. He burned every bridge he ever built with the PGA Tour, insulted the very history of the game, and for what? To be the highest paid amateur-level golfer in the world. But Phil's decline was somewhat expected given his age. The next man on our list, however, was supposed to be the savior. For 12 years, Anthony Kim was the ghost of golf, the Yeti. He disappeared in 2012 to heal an injury and, rumor had it, to collect on an 8-figure insurance policy that would void if he ever swung a club professionally again. Fans treated his return like the second coming. If AK came back, surely he would dominate. Well, in 2024, the checks cleared, the insurance policy was settled, and Anthony Kim returned to LIV Golf. And it was brutal. This wasn't the swaggering kid with the diamond belt buckle who tapped his feet on the green. This was a man who looked like he hadn't played competitive golf in a decade, because he hadn't. His debut scores were shocking. We're talking rounds of 76, 80, even higher. He finished dead last, 55th place, in the standings, firmly in the relegation zone. The nostalgia wore off after about 2 tournaments. By his 3rd start, the harsh reality set in. The game has evolved, and Anthony Kim has not. He was shanking chips. He was spraying drives. He looked lost. LIV gave him a wildcard spot for 2026, bypassing their own relegation rules to keep him around, proving once and for all that this isn't about the best golfers. It's about the biggest names. Anthony Kim isn't a star anymore. He's a marketing prop. But while Kim was rusty, our next player has no excuse. He was a 2-time Masters champion who simply forgot how to play. Bubba Watson has always been an emotional player. He plays on feel, on instinct, but somewhere between rebranding his team to the Range Goats and painting his driver pink for the 100th time, Bubba lost the ability to actually play golf. The 2025 season was a nightmare for him. We are talking about a guy who used to shape the ball 40 yards around trees to win green jackets. Now, he's fighting to not finish last. The situation got so dire late last year that Bubba Watson, a team captain, a franchise owner, was statistically in the drop zone. That's right. The league's rules stated he should be relegated, kicked off the tour. Imagine the humiliation. A 2-time major winner being told he's not good enough for the exhibition league he helped promote. Of course, the business rules of LIV saved him. The board decided he was too valuable commercially to cut loose. But does that make it better, or does it make it worse? It confirms that Bubba is no longer a serious athlete. He's a content creator who happens to hold a golf club. He's openly supported the relegation system in interviews, saying it keeps the league competitive, all while relying on a loophole to save his own job. The Bubba Watson we knew is gone, replaced by a guy just happy to be on the payroll. And speaking of players surviving on reputation alone, we have to talk about the postman. The postman always delivers. That was the catchphrase. In the Ryder Cup, Ian Poulter was a monster. His eyes would bulge, he'd pound his chest, and he would drain putts that broke the hearts of Americans everywhere. But the postman has lost his root. Since joining LIV, Poulter's game has evaporated. He hasn't just been bad, he's been irrelevant. In the 2025 season, he wasn't fighting for wins, he was fighting for his life near the bottom of the points list, right there with Bubba. The saddest part isn't the scores, it's the silence. Poulter used to be the loudest man in the room. He fed off the energy, the hatred, the pressure. On the LIV Tour, there is no pressure. There's guaranteed money, and without the edge of win or go home, Poulter looks bored. He missed the 2025 Ryder Cup at Bethpage, a venue that was practically built for a villain like him. Instead of silencing 50,000 New Yorkers, he was sitting on his couch watching on TV like the rest of us. He traded his legacy as the greatest match play golfer of his generation for a team equity stake in the Majestics. Financially, a great move. Competitively, he's washed. But at least Poulter didn't get suspended for failing a drug test. That honor goes to our next star. Graeme McDowell is a US Open champion. He's the guy who delivered the winning point for Europe at Celtic Manor. He is a legend of grit and grinding. So how did he end up suspended from LIV Golf in 2024? Was it for performance-enhancing drugs? Steroids? HGH? No. It was for Vicks nasal spray. You heard that right. McDowell was slapped with a one-tournament ban and a $125,000 fine for using an over-the-counter decongestant that contained a banned substance. It sounds funny, but it's actually just sad. It highlights the chaotic, almost amateur nature of his current career. Even when he is actually playing, G-Mac is a shadow of himself. He's short off the tee in a game that has become all about power. On LIV, where the courses are set up for bombers like Bryson DeChambeau and Jon Rahm, McDowell has no chance. He is essentially filling a jersey. He's a founder of the league, which seems to be the only reason he still has a spot. He's drifting into obscurity, one nasal spray controversy at a time. And yet McDowell at least tries to care. Our next entry openly admits he's just here for the free ride. Pat Perez is the spirit animal of the washed-up LIV golfer. When he signed his deal, he didn't talk about growing the game or innovative formats. He famously said, "I'm 46 years old, I've got a bad back, and I just won the lottery." You have to respect the honesty, but you don't have to respect the game. Perez has spent the last 3 years riding the coattails of Dustin Johnson on the Four Aces team. DJ wins the tournaments, the team splits the prize money, and Pat Perez collects a check for shooting 4 over par. He has been called the highest-paid cheerleader in sports. His role is to wear flashy Jordan shoes, blast music, and smoke cigars. And for a while it was funny, but now it's glaring. When you look at the stats, Perez is consistently one of the worst ball strikers on the tour. He is taking up a spot that could go to a hungry young pro solely because he's friends with the right people. He is the living embodiment of the critics' argument that LIV is a place where competitive fires go to die, smothered by piles of cash. But while Perez never claimed to be a world beater, our next player was once the literal best golfer on the planet. It is hard to remember now, but Lee Westwood was world #1. He ended Tiger Woods' reign. He is one of the most consistent ball strikers in history. Now, he is a ghost. Westwood's fall from grace has been vertical. Since joining LIV, his world ranking has plummeted from the top 50 to outside the top 800. Of course, LIV doesn't get ranking points, but even within the LIV ecosystem, Westwood is a non-factor. He is simply making up the numbers. The tragedy of Lee Westwood is the bitterness. Every interview seems to be a complaint about the OUGR rankings, or the PGA Tour, or the media. He spent 2024 and 2025 sounding like an angry ex-employee rather than a sporting legend. He had a chance to be a Ryder Cup captain. He had a chance to be a senior statesman of the game. Instead, he's playing out the string on the Majestics with Poulter and Stenson, looking every bit of his 50-plus years. The swing is still pretty, but the scores don't lie. The fight is gone. And speaking of the Majestics, we have to talk about the man who sold his captaincy. In 2022, Henrik Stenson had the job every European golfer dreams of: Ryder Cup captain. It was his. He had signed the contract. Then, LIV waved a check in his face, and he walked. He was stripped of the captaincy immediately. He traded the honor of leading his continent for a spot on a team called the Majestics. Was it worth it? Financially, yes. But looking at him now, you have to wonder. Stenson won his very first LIV event, a screw you to the establishment. But since then, crickets. He has been plagued by mediocrity. The Iceman has melted. Watching Luke Donald lead Europe to victory in Rome and then again contend in 2025, while Stenson plays 54-hole shotgun starts in front of thin crowds, is a stark contrast. He sold his legacy. And unlike Mickelson, who at least has 6 majors to fall back on, Stenson's legacy was largely tied to his Ryder Cup heroics. He torched that for a payout, and his game has followed suit. But at least Stenson plays. Our next star spends more time on the MRI table than the tee box. Martin Kaymer is the man who sank the putt at Medina to complete the greatest comeback in Ryder Cup history. He is a U.S. Open champion who dominated Pinehurst. He is also the captain of the Cliques, a team that for 2 years was the laughingstock of LIV Golf. Kaymer's wrist injuries have been a legitimate issue, and we can sympathize with that. But the reality is, he has been washed up for years. He hasn't been a serious contender in a major championship since 2014. LIV offered him a lifeline, a guaranteed income when his body was failing him. He is the invisible man of the league. When you scan the leaderboards on a Sunday, you have to scroll all the way to the bottom to find his name. He talks a good game about building a franchise, but the cliques have been a revolving door of players because nobody seems to want to stay there. Kaymer is a nice guy, but as a competitive force, he checked out a long time ago. And finally, we come to the heartbreak. Sergio Garcia. Sergio isn't washed up in the same way as Pat Perez. He can still hit the ball, he can still compete occasionally, but he is washed up in the only way that matters to him: relevance. Sergio lives for the Ryder Cup. He is the all-time points leader. He breathes that atmosphere. And in 2025, with the Ryder Cup at Bethpage Black, the biggest, loudest stage in golf, Sergio was on the outside looking in. He tried to broker a peace deal. He reportedly offered to pay his fines. He texted Rory McIlroy. He tried everything to get back in, and they shut the door. Watching Sergio on LIV is like watching a lion in a zoo. He's pacing around growling, throwing the occasional tantrum at a cameraman or a rules official, but he knows he's trapped. He has all the money in the world, but he can't buy the one thing he wants: forgiveness. He is exiled. And without the validation of the majors and the Ryder Cup, Sergio's game has become a series of what-ifs and remember-whens. So there you have it, 10 legends, 10 bank accounts overflowing with cash, and 10 careers that have effectively hit a dead end. LIV Golf will continue to sign new players. They will sign young stars like John Rahm and Tyrrell Hatton, who are in their prime. But for Mickelson, Westwood, Poulter, and the rest of the originals, the party is over. The music is still playing, but the lights are coming on. They proved that everyone has a price, but they also proved that no amount of money can stop the clock. What do you think? Did these guys make the smart business move by cashing out? Or did they destroy their reputations for nothing? Are they pioneers, or are they just greedy? Let me know in the comments below and pick a side. I'll see you there.